All right, there you are.
Finally, I was in the dark. I was in Twilight Zone.
I know it's always delayed. I always say there's that awkward moment when you go live on Zoom, but now we're here, so it's great. How's your day? How's your morning so far? What did you have going on already this morning?
You know what? It's like I mentioned to you before. I'm in the world of trying to get licenses, and so I'm still at that point where I'm trying to secure a 65 securities license. And it's amazing, Megan. I had this license earlier in my life, I studied for it and all that sort of thing. One similar, not the 65, but one very, very similar. It's amazing how many of those things are stuck back in your brain for decades, that all you have to do is hit the right word or the right terminology and kaboom, there it is. It flashes. It comes, I go, oh my gosh, I remember that. That was like 30 or 40 years ago I learned that. And so, I think I said before, you can graduate, but you never stop learning. And I think that's a good thing for all of us to take under our wings. We can always become better. We can always become more talented and professional, and just knowledge. The reason why I'm so driven now to just study securities and just how, the banking financial world works, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on right now in our country in terms of rules and laws and other things that are being contemplated, that they're going to enact in the near future. And without knowing all these things, I mean, think about it. For the most part, we grew up, and whoever was our accountant, we're going to go, he's going to handle it. I don't care. That's all right. He's going to handle it. Well, wouldn't you like to know what it's like? Most of the politicians in Washington don't even care what the bills are. They don't even read them. They just either sign them or don't sign them. And it's scary. I'm just thinking, I've never even seen any of these people in person other than on television, and never had a conversation with them. I know they travel around the country sometimes, occasionally, but it's like part of your family. With us living in America, I consider the government and our friends and all those sort of things, that's part of who we are, our life. And because it would be radically different in some other countries if we had to live under other rules and regulations. You and I could not be doing this right now. It would be breaking a law, zooming, across the country or from state to state. They're going to say, no, you can't do that. That's when people are in control. But, fortunately, we have a lot of flexibility and things that we can do, and, objectives we can pursue. So I just think that's what makes life in America so great.
Well, don't you think though, this is kind of interesting to me because of, my news background, but I feel like even though you don't know the people, like we watch Fox News, that's what we watch every night before we go to bed, but I've watched it for so many years. I almost feel like I know the people. Obviously I don't, but you know what I mean? Like you feel like, but that's a positive trait for a news person or a reporter or an announcer like yourself, to be able to project that so that the audience knows and feels welcome, and like like it is, them. It's weird, but it just kind of happens. And I was thinking about that the other night, watching Fox News, and I was like, gosh, I've watched this, I swear, for like 25 years.
It's funny. So I always learn, you always watch your opponent, watch at least 3 games that he's played, performed, how he acted. And, I like going through all the channels. I mean, I think sometimes one channel just gives you a certain, I think I can say frankly that you and I think are very, I don't say manageable, but we're open to ideas and revelations and things like that. Not stubborn, not totally addicted to one philosophy or another. That's not who we are. And I just think, as you go through life, just think about how much you've changed in your life. I know some people haven't very much, but
I have a ton.
You and I came from environments that were nothing like we're living in now. And it's impossible not to change. I remember talking with my uncles and aunts and things like that in a 3,500 person town. they have a different perspective than you and I do, because you're in California, I'm in Arizona, in big cities, and we see different things, we hear, and even though we don't maybe know politicians personally, I know a couple. I don't know them personally though. I know them just to say hi to them, and but these people in these smaller establishments, they never see anybody. All they do is guess, and sometimes they maybe if your occupation had nothing to do with money or anything like that, or you weren't worried about earning an income or investments or anything like that, you really wouldn't care who was in Washington. It would just be a lot of big mouths, that are always sounding off and getting in trouble and all that sort of thing. But no, it affects more and more of our lives, I think, every day. And especially when you start talking about like this school thing, I mean, that's really important, because our kids are our major assets, and we want to protect them every way we can.
Well, and we were flipping channels this week, because when the new governor in Virginia won, it was fun to see all the different stations, what they were saying. But what a great speech he gave at the end about kids in school. That was absolutely incredible. And I'm just so excited for Virginia to have that governor and that family behind, and that team going to make some positive changes for them. I thought it was super amazing, and he just came out of nowhere.
It's funny. You think about how much trust you had in the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. I went to elementary, was the sixth, and then our middle school was 7, 8, 9, and our high school was 10, 11, and 12. I know that changes from state to state to state, but think about this. You gave teachers the authority to spank you during the day if you did something crazy. One thing I did one time, I brought in a cat.
Well, I couldn't get, when I was growing up, they couldn't spank us.
I got spanked plenty. I mean, there isn't one teacher I had that I didn't get spanked. And one day I brought in a cap gun, and this was the old days of the desk where you lifted up the flat part. They had like a little oil well, they called it.
I had that too.
Okay. So I'm bringing the gun. I don't know why, because we go out on the playground during our recess, and I thought I could, get off a couple shots, with a cap gun. Bang, 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 bang. This is before any of this chaos happens around the world. And I'm in there, and I was in there trying to sneak some bubble gum in my mouth, because you're not allowed to chew bubble gum during the day. Not me. I sneak it in there, and I'm going to chew it all day. So I got on there, and I accidentally dropped the drawer. It went down like 4 inches. When it hit that bottom, that cap gun inside was loaded and cocked, and it went off. Kaboom! In the arithmetic. The teacher looking around like somebody got shot. What happened? What happened? She was screaming and yelling. Kids were crying. And, Megan, this is the funniest thing. It's not funny. It's funny now. It wasn't funny then. Smoke is coming out of that little hole in the corner of the desk. It's coming. She goes, "Who did that? Who did that?" I didn't say one word. Here comes the smoke out of the oil well. Megan, she came over with the biggest stick she could find, that big paddle. Bam, bam, in front of everybody. It didn't hurt. It didn't hurt, but I try to act like it did hurt. Oh. But you just think about stuff like that. I'll never forget that. And that's why I just say, when we're dealing with our kids, we got to be really, really careful on how we say to them or what we do, because they remember it for life. Just like that little episode, I'll never, ever forget that. I remember, should I take it in or should I leave it at home? The cap gun.
Oh, I gotta tell you really quick before I forget. That's a hilarious story, by the way. But you can spankings definitely didn't affect you as of how you got hit your whole life. No. But I gotta tell you, it just made me think of this. Somebody reached out on me on LinkedIn, and they're actually in Indianapolis. Super great successful guy. But I was telling him, he was asking me about our podcast, and he's like, I played football and Doug was my role model of how I tackled. And he goes, he was a monster. And he goes, I used to get in trouble because I copied Doug. He's my age. So he was like, 10 whatever years behind, you know what I mean? But you were his role model basically. And when he played football, he said, I tackled like number 46. He goes, that's how I learned to tackle. And so anyways, we joked, and I told him a couple of funny stories about what you've shared with me, and he really enjoyed it. But it was just really fun. So again, there's people out there you don't even know that you influenced, and they tackled you.
I look at it this way, rather than just trying to hit somebody, I always try to find, would they hold the ball in their left hand or right hand? So when I went to tackle them, you got to be prepared to do all these sort of things. Like I was telling you, Earl Campbell had those metal thigh pads on. I wasn't going to hit him in the thigh pads. I was going to hit him someplace real close, the same horizontal area, splitting the knee pads or high thigh pads that I don't want to talk about. But, it knocked him down. I mean, he was out of the game for a while. He ended up coming back. But, I felt like, what are we really tackling the guy for? Well, to get him on the ground and stop, number one. But the number one thing that we want, Megan, and I think this is what people in life need to focus on. What do you really want out of this? Whether it's school, a class, a license. I could say, well, I've got 15 licenses and I don't do anything with them other than just look at them every day. Like a lot of people, they got those big walls in their office, and you talk to them and you go, this is a shallow person. They don't know much about anything. But I look at the wall, they got what looks like wallpaper. They got licenses all over the place, different states. They don't use it. They go through the motions of doing all these little different things, but they never really implement these things into their life. And I just think that there's so much that people have that they just don't use. I mean, that's like, you have these skills and abilities, and we see it on television with athletes. They're using their physical abilities, and that's great. But, some of them also have like other abilities also, as far as, I roomed with a kicker from Notre Dame, Bob Thomas, who was a Supreme Court justice in Illinois, and Alan Page, who was a Supreme Court justice in Minnesota. And, people that went out, you're going, no, football players cannot be judges. Like last weekend, I went to this alumni 100 year, whatever.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about that. That must have been
so much fun. It was like going back to your 50th high school reunion. Half the people were gone. They were dead or just didn't show up. I don't know what happened. But the ones that did were like your best friend. Even guys that you maybe never talked to during your time of being a player, they came up and gave like hugs in this day of viruses. I wasn't saying anything. I let them do the hugging. I didn't want to have them. No, get away. But they figured, you know what? If I get the virus at this point in time, I mean, I'm already walking towards the pearly gate already. I'm already on my way.
Would you stop saying that? Quit saying that.
No, it's reality. I'm just saying, hey, what's the average age in America?
You could live to be 100 years old.
I could be.
You're only 68.
I always speak in terms of averages, in the law of averages. Okay.
I know.
I should qualify that. So in the law of averages, I got so many days left. But it was so much fun seeing and talking to people that not only you knew really, really well, but you think, well, I wish I would have maybe came to one of these a couple years earlier. And the Bears were fantastic in terms of presentation on information and health, healthy tips, how to live a healthy life and things to do and anything that they could do, to help really the downtrodden, those guys that are really hard on their luck, that just don't have any money, finances. They'll do everything they can to help you in situations to get a more comfortable life. And, and as mean and nasty as the National Football League was, it was so much fun to see people smiling and actually, being very thankful for what they have and, what they were able to do in their careers. And, the only complaint I have is I just wish that my joints held up a little bit better. I wish I wasn't walking around like the Tin Man in the Wizard of Oz. That's me. I got to keep oiling knees, shoulders. When I see that guy go, that's me. That's the Tin Man.
Well, I think what's so important is community, and that's what you experienced.
Honestly, that's it.
That's it. It's community, and it doesn't matter if it's the military,
right.
if it doesn't matter if it's your church, if it's the NFL, if it's your work environment. It's community, and knowing that you have people around you with similar likeness, and that's what it's all about, is community. Everybody wants community, and everybody wants people around them with love and relationships, and just like not just like the NFL, but the military is very similar. I've always said, when I was a military spouse, and I loved it, I could show up to a city, not know a soul, but I knew when I showed up, that community was there to love and support and to get you into the system and how it was going to work. And it's a similar thing with the NFL. You don't even have to know those people, but it's all the same.
You know what, Megan, I'll say this. There were a couple times during my football career, guys on my team actually gave me a kiss. Now, you know what? It was okay back in 1980. It was okay. You could kiss each other. I guess maybe you could even more so today. But you know what it is? It was like the moment came that you didn't think like, oh, what should I do in this situation? Let me go through the steps. No, it was emotion. It was raw energy. And I don't care if there was 80,000 people in the stadium. It was nothing wrong with hugging another man and giving him a kiss.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I just thought that was the best. And, almost like I said, getting very emotional too, because you would do anything for each other. And I think the whole thing recently in our country with, the battle of the races, it's hard for me to think in those terms when I was with people that were so close to me. They could be my adopted brother, and that's the way their personality was, how they worked every single day, their communication. It was a great period, and I'm so glad that I had the chance. Like I said, I think the first time I cried, I felt myself crying. It was actually at Ohio State, the first day when I got there and got hurt and tore a partial ligament. And I cried when the coach came over and said a very unhappy thing to me. And, I thought, you know what? When someone's down and out, I think that is not the time you need to be reprimanding him, or, he needs built up, he needs to be picked up. And to come in and say, you're terrible, you're ugly, you're worthless, you should think about retiring. I mean, I've heard people tell other athletes that are on the ground, like with knee surgeries, torn ligaments, trainers coming over and saying, I think you should think about retirement. Well, you know what? There's plenty of time to think about retirement. Like maybe like on the operating table or after that. The guy just gets hurt. I mean, he's still assessing, what's wrong with him. And I just think that a more kinder word would be much better in that situation. Listen, you'll come back. You can do this. And, maybe he can't. But at least, he tried, and you gave him a chance, instead of, no, you're terrible, you're despicable. You're the worst thing I've ever seen. Those people back in wherever Irwin would be very proud of you now. And so, but, if they're all fighters, Megan, like you and I are, hey, we eat that like it's candy. Oh, you're going to tell me I'm terrible and I came from a lousy town.
I was just going to say, exactly.
Hey, I want some more of that. In fact, I'm emptying out the box in my mouth like I do for cereal. Bring it on. Tell me some more.
Tell me I can't do it, and I'm going to make sure I do it. Tell me I can do it, and I'm going to make sure I do it. That's exactly right. And you know what, though? That's just born in you. I don't know how to explain it, because I'm like the most down-to-earth, nice, easygoing. But when someone says to me, that's just never going to happen, I think to myself inside, watch me.
Yeah.
Watch me. So tell me before we go, I want to know, like, because you said you're still like speaking and sportscasting, obviously, on the weekends. So what are the next ones you're doing so people can tune in and hear you?
You know what? And it's always on an AM station. We're not on FM. and USA Sports Media is the name of, Sports USA Media. And, they have their website online. And I believe also there's a link that will tell you which one of the games they are doing that day, the early game and the later game. Okay. They'll identify which game and who the announcers are. And
so it's Sports USA Media, because that way people can tune in and listen to you when you're announcing. Media. Yeah, when you're announcing on the weekends.
Again, I can't promise that I'll be in their area, but I think there may be a link on the website that you can actually go directly, sportsusamedia.com, and you could actually listen to the game. And, believe me, I'm like every other analyst. I don't try to make it smart, like I'm some intelligent person. Like I said, when you get to a certain age, Megan, you don't think like you got to entertain or, please anybody. No, I don't think that way. I mean, I want to entertain them. I want to tell them something they didn't know before they started watching the broadcast. Like, if they're going to pass the ball, the offensive linemen either are don't put their hand down on the ground or they're leaning backwards. And if they're going to run the ball, the linemen are all leaning forward because they're going to run across the line of scrimmage. And if they pass the ball, it's a penalty. No offensive lineman can be downfield. But my point is, I just try to think of things that were unique to me as a player and try to pass those along to people listening.
People that wouldn't know that kind of information.
No.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we're doing the Professional Athlete Soaring Summit, so people can talk to people like you that don't know that information that to you is just common knowledge.
Yeah, and even like, some of the colleges, not the colleges, some of the coaches have tendencies that I know a lot of the coaches in the National Football League, I know they have tendencies in certain situations, either running or passing, left or right. They also have favorite players, all that sort of thing. One thing I don't like doing, before a game, there's times I'll talk to a coach. The last thing I want to do, Megan, is as soon as I talk to that coach, go up to the broadcast booth and say, "Hey, everybody, I just talked to the coach, and here's what he said." You know what? That is the last time you ever talk to the coach.
Of course,
you've gone up to the mic and you've been a tattletale, and you told all these things that were maybe some personal too. There was, I hear about a lot of different things. Some are unique to players that have nothing to do with the field. And it's a great story, but it's not a great story for a football broadcast. And why would I can't stand these guys that act like, "Oh man, I was down there talking to this guy and he told me everything. I know everything now. And I'm going to tell you all of you during the game, everything I know about this guy." Listen, that guy is selfish and probably won't be broadcasting long, because nobody wants to talk to somebody that as soon as you get up there on the mic, this has happened to me several times. And I said, "Now this is between you and me." I said, this is secretive, and it's just, I've known you a long time, not you, but whoever this broadcaster was. It took like 1 hour. He gets back to the radio station, like, "Hey, I got to get on the air. I got to talk about something." And you know what? I never talk to him again. I never see him again. If he comes over and starts talking to me, I just walk away like I can't hear him. And I think they get the message pretty quick.
I mean, that's when you give that disclaimer of, "I'm telling you something in private," that's something that's, private, and that needs to be respected always. Needs to be, and I say that quite a bit. I'm telling you something, but I don't want you to ever repeat it. You know what I mean? Like, and I get it, but you got to respect that. Well, I just hope you have a ton of fun. I'm sorry, I'm going to miss you next weekend.
Oh yeah, that's correct. I know this is going to be a fun time. We're going to have, it's great, seeing you and the energy, and we can do this, for the rest of our lives, but it's nothing like, being together, having a conversation like everybody else. I mean, would you rather talk on the telephone to somebody, or would you rather be there in person or talk on, Zoom and things like that? It's amazing. We all forgot, I think, how much we appreciated each other till we got this virus and we were all staying at home for these long periods of time. Then when we went out, we went, "Oh my gosh, this is like college. This is like the first time I'm going to get drunk. I'm so excited. I can't wait." And talking to everybody and being out there having a blast. And that's what it was like. And, so for all these people now that come on, I've been vaccinated twice and I've had the virus and all that sort of thing. So I don't know. I might have some issues, with indigestion and some stuff like that, but I don't have any blood issues. I've got metal joints, so nobody's going to ruin those. And I feel like, hey, bring it on. Whatever's out there right now roaming the country, that it comes in a microscopic form, I'm ready for it.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I always just love talking to you on Saturdays. I always say I love talking to you, and I'm blessed because I get to talk to you during the week, and we always have great conversations always. And enjoy your weekend. Thank you for the time. I always want to keep our podcasts down to, not too long, so people when they're driving can listen and not be like it's too long. So I'm going to let us go, and I will see you next week. And we'll be doing the same thing, but I'm just excited, and thank you so much. And I hope you have a spectacular Saturday.
Well, thank you. You know what? Like, people know how to reach out to us. So I know you.
Oh yeah. Go ahead and give the shout out.
I welcome questions. Anything that anybody has for me that I could speak on, I'm happy to do it. And I know you feel the same way.
100%. Yeah. You know what? Our schedule has been off just a little bit the last few weeks because of Doug's traveling schedule, and which is completely fine. And then mine, I was 1 week too. But the point is always you can email us, you can text us, you can call. We are an open book. And the reason that we do this is to give inspiration, share fun stories from the NFL. We don't ever talk about shopping, even though it's sports and shopping. I did go on Amazon and buy some new glasses because I want different colors, because I've kind of gotten into this thing where I like having matching glasses. So you can buy 5 pair for $14.
Megan, isn't it a blast though? Someone rings the doorbell. You go over, they got a package for you. This is like Christmas.
I know.
Oh no, I love going to the door and getting a package. There's times where, I could have went to the, the Walmarts of the world and everything. And I go to Walmart, but I order stuff from there too. I love just having it delivered. You know why? There's a person there that's handing it to me. Usually I go, man, thank you for coming and dropping this thing off. They get a big kick out of it. Like, hey, thanks. Who doesn't like getting complimented? So I think it's a win-win.
I can just hear it now. The Amazon driver, his boss is like, why are you an hour late? Oh, I went to Doug Plank's house and talked to him for an hour. I was at Doug Plank's and he wouldn't let me leave. We were talking about everything. I can just hear it.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
We can talk to anybody. Well, you have a wonderful weekend.
Okay, thank you.
You're the best.
Look forward to seeing you.
I'll see you soon. Okay.
All right.